All right, now we'll just talk about the circle and the L step. Just variations on a theme, really. So instead of only moving in fixed directions, okay, I can also circle off. And why would you want to make sure that you can circle off? Well, angles are very important, right? If you're only ever going straight backwards, not only in the physical world are you going to run into a wall, a car, something like that. If it's a self-defense situation, in MMA, you're going to run into the fence, which is obviously used very tactically for people that want to be able to push you into the fence, control you, beat you up a little bit, take you down, ground and pound submissions, so on and so forth. But even in pure striking, if I'm only ever moving backwards, even if you're a skilled counter fighter, at some point you're probably losing. Not always, but often, right? So we don't want to only go straight back. We want to be able to circle and also cut the angles. So when I'm circling, it's going to be the exact same idea. I'm always circling with the adjustment of my feet, just like we talked about before. It's that now just in terms of cutting to my right, for instance, okay, or to my left, I'm also swinging my back leg around in a circle or swinging my front leg in a circle. Right? And again, I can add a bounce to this at any point, but you notice the adjustment is always the same and the posture is always the same. Then in an L step, it's halfway between going backwards and to the side and circling. And the reason why you do this is, again, it's just more of a dramatic cut. So as opposed to the gradual cut of a circular footwork. So as I'm moving back from here, okay, maybe I go back a couple of times and then I feel, okay, there's an obstruction behind me. I'm going to be put against the cage. I'm going to be put in the corner of a boxing ring, or I'm going to be shoved into a wall. So from here, okay, I go back and then I cut to the side and create that superior angle. Okay? One thing I'm not going to get into too much right now is switching stances, unless it has to do with an actual switch technique. Such as a switch kick or a switch knee. That's really for a higher level. It's not fundamentals. Really develop one side first. However, when I'm moving backwards, okay, I could always move back and then cut in another direction for my L step as well. Okay.
So now we're going to move on to, from the single collar tie, how to create space so that I can land a knee into my partner's midsection. So we don't ever really want to be kneeing up unless we have a clear target to land. Most of the times when we're in this clinch position, my knees are going to be driving into my partner's belly button and I'm going to be trying to push it through his back. So when we're in our 50-50 clinch, in our collar tie position, the way to create space is I'm going to use my forearm to bump as if I was trying to pummel in. So I'm going to bump. As that happens, same side leg is going to pull back. So now you see what happens to my partner's posture here. It's bent, which gives me a nice good target to slam my knee into. So now it's very easy for me to just drive my knee up at an arcing 45-degree angle and point my toes back. And as I do that, as I bring my knee in, I'm going to pull my partner in one more time. So it's a double impact. And then I'm going to reset, come back to my clinch position. Again, I'm going to bump with the shoulder, pull my hip back. As I do that, my partner's head will come back. As I drive my knees through and I come up onto my toes, I'm going to give one more extra pull. And I'm going to drive my knee in and reset. So as I explained before, when we're pummeling inside and outside, we don't ever really want anyone to have double control on our neck or on our arms or around our body. But when we do get to that position, I'll show you why it becomes such a dangerous position for the person that I'm controlling. So when we're in this tight clinch position, the single collar, and I work myself in to get into a double collar position. So now, very important that my hands aren't on the neck, they're on the top of the head. So if Rich tries to lift his head up, it's very difficult because my elbows are creating a wedge here. So no matter how hard he tries to lift his head out, it's going to be very difficult for him to get up because I'm using my elbows as a wedge in the body. So I've got double pressure here and I've got a very good strong lever. So from this position, the exact same thing is going to happen. I'm going to bump with my shoulders, and as I do that, pull my hips back. As soon as that happens now, I'm going to pull his head into the direction where my knee is. So remember, we're trying to knee the body here. We can go to the head. It's the same rule that applies, but I want to make sure that I'm pulling his head towards that knee. So as I pull him in, see how my arms are extended? I'm going to pull my elbows in towards that knee, and I'm going to drive my knee through the body so that I can land with as much power as possible. Then I'm going to reset, and then I can go to the other side. Same thing, I'm going to pull him in and drive my knee through his back. Reset, pull, knee through the back, pull, knee through the back.
Body fold takedown. We know the leg hook takedown from the clinch. Now, sometimes you're in the clinch with the bad guy, and instead of using the leg hook, they might try to punch you in the face during the clinch. So if I'm here and he's reaching for my head, I'm gonna drop and use the body fold. Body fold takedown. It works really well when the bully's trying to punch you from the clinch. Remember, the clinch is just basically a hug. So you're hugging them, you're close, and while controlling, as Hidon goes to hit me or does something to my face, I want to basically lower myself a little bit. Watch, I'm going to drop down, and almost like I want to pick Hidon up. I almost want to pick him up a little bit, okay? But I'm not really going to. I'm going to lift a little, and my chest and my shoulder are going to fold Hidon. Now the key here is that this hand is pulling very tight around Hidon's waist, so that it does this: pull, push, and that causes him to fall down, and as he falls, guess what I do with my hands? Same thing as before. Release. So from here, again, he's hitting, I drop a little, I want to fold, hand out, and go down very controlled. So you make them fall, and then you follow up, and you establish the full mount. It's called the body fold. Check this out. If you have someone who's practicing the technique, who is lower than your hips in height, it's going to be tricky for Rayan to hug my hips and have that same effect that Horan, who's a little taller, or of course Hidon had. So it's important to know how to practice it with someone much smaller. But know that when two kids, for example, Haley, come on up. If Haley, for example, is doing the body fold on Rayan, getting the clinch. If Haley's doing the move with Rayan, she controls the hips. She's going to pick Rayan up and fold her. Go ahead, fold. Grab the hands. Pick up and fold. Go. Hands out. That's how the move's going to look. It works perfectly fine amongst two kids about the same size. But because they're so much shorter than us, or your child might be so much shorter than you, when practicing it, you're going to use one leg as the body of the opponent. So for example, when Rayan does it to me here, okay, she'll clinch, hug my leg tight, and all I want her to do is drive her body into my hip and pull my leg and fold, go. Yes, and we're going to go. Boom. And we practice from there. So hug the leg and drive to the ground, just so that she can have a chance to kind of hug, fold, and drive. Now, naturally, if someone hugs one of my legs, I could possibly counter with my other leg. But remember, she's not doing this just for the one leg. She's actually driving as if this was the body of her opponent or the bully in a real fight. There's a little slight pickup because what it does is it really stiffens up the body of the opponent's body, you know? Instead of just pulling with your arms, I watch my body. I get a little low, I pick Hidon up a little, and then I fold him much easier. Hands out and go to the ground. And as with all the takedown techniques, parents, as you fall, control your descent. Let your hips touch the ground first. So if I'm getting folded, watch. I fold, hips, and then fall.
So as soon as the child lets go of your hips,
yes,
your hips shoot down.
Watch one more time.
Because if I'm holding the hips right now and I fold, I'm going to let go, and then he sits.
So as soon as your hips are clear, drop them to the ground to control that, to cushion the fall. And of course, break your fall here. It's all good, body fold. Now, what if they have a very wide base? What move is that? Leg hook, boom. Okay, so indicator. So important to understand the difference. So if they have a strong base, we recommend leg hook. If they have a narrow base but they're slapping you, we recommend body fold. That's the key understanding here we want you to have.